Greetings, YouTube. This is my main workbench. This is the first piece of working gear I ever put into my basement. This is a Cobalt brand, I think it is. Yeah, it's the house brand, I think, for Lowe's. I picked this thing up for 40 bucks at a yard sale, and I put a new top on it, mostly because the guy who had it before me had soaked the MDF board on top with oil because he was a gunsmith, and I put a 2x4 piece on here, which made the whole thing a little bit bigger and wider, which I wanted. But eventually I needed a second one, so I've got my second tool bench right here, and this is also a 2x4 size, though I may want to expand that at some point in the future. I may want to go to 3x4, so it's a little wider. And this was really cheap. I paid for the top, and everything else on this is scrap. All the components on this that are not the top were scrap as far as the table is concerned. That is something I picked up at a yard sale for 15 bucks. It's a vintage Craftsman made in Japan. I thought that was kind of cool, and I now have a nice little bench on, a nice little vise on my bench. But one thing this thing doesn't have is power. I got power at my table here, because the one behind me, because it's got a power strip on it. But this one had nothing, which meant every time I wanted to run it, I would have to run a power cord across the floor to my table, which is awkward, and it is dangerous. And at the moment, well, not the moment, but from now on, I have to wear this stupid boot on my left foot, which makes me even less dexterous than I was before. So I really don't want cords on the floor if I can avoid them. So what did I do? Well, I wanted to run a cord from here to the table. So what I did was blow holes through 5 of my ceiling joists, 1 1/4 inch holes, which are quite sufficient to handle a plug. And then I put a hook on my table, and now I've got this cord, which I think is 50 feet. I'm not positive on that one, but it means that I can pretty much reach with this cord, now that it's roughly centered in my middle of my shop, that I can reach anywhere in my shop with this cord. And when I'm not using it, it's completely out of the way. And when I do use it, I tend to bring it over here, and I actually kind of pinch the cord very, very lightly here, so that if I pull on it, I'm not going to be dragging it all over the place. I'm just use this to pin this in place while I have the tool being used here plugged in. And even though this is a power cord coming off another plug, I never have more than 3 things running off this at one time. The light you're seeing at the table, which is not high powered, my radio, which is not high powered, and then whatever single piece of equipment I am running at that moment. The biggest draw on this thing is this right here. This is the biggest draw on it, which is my full size jet drill. This has got a 1.5 horsepower motor. You do not want to be drawing power off this with another piece of electrical equipment. I found out the hard way. It'll blow the circuit. But this was a really simple way of getting power from one place to another. That meant I didn't have to hire an electrician, and at this point in time I just can't swing that. At some point I do want to do that and have them actually drop me a proper cord here, a plug from the ceiling, and put out some better wiring in my basement, as well as I want an outdoor plug, because eventually I want to get myself a welder, and I don't want to do that down here. So simple, fast, dirty. Well, not fast. It took me a while to get through these joists because they are double thick, which was a kind of a pain in the ass. And this is old hard wood, and that did not want to work well. I was using a Diablo bit for most of this stuff, and it works well, but because it's got a screw tip, it was pulling it through at a rate that really was difficult, and I literally banged my arm up because it would torque the drill out of my hand. So I eventually went to a standard spade bit, and then did the rest of the holes that way. It was a little slower, but it was more controlled, and I didn't have to worry about the drill bit wanting to pull the whole thing forward on me. So if I were going to be drilling through a single board like this, yeah, that Diablo is beautiful. It leaves a really nice hole. But through something this big and that deep, in the future, I will only be using a standard spade bit. And you can see the difference between an old board and a new board. Well, not newish. This is probably 25 years old, but you can see the difference between these two boards. There's a big difference in width. That's the old lumber that's been here for 100 years. This is the new stuff. So yeah, simple, straightforward, DIY perfection. The only thing I had to do that was slightly annoying is I had to move this power cable. I had to pull the staple out, move it up about 3 inches, and then put it back so it would not interfere with my hole, because that's where I wanted the hole. So yeah, so now I got power to my bench, and I'm happy. And it's the kind of thing that I think pretty much anybody could do. All you need is a cordless drill, because that makes it a lot easier than a corded drill, and a decent spade bit, and you're good to go, and you can run a fast, dirty power to any spot you need to in your shop. Just thought I'd throw that in here because I found it really damn useful.